Super Mario is such an enigma. The core Super Mario platformers are advertised as a fun time for the whole family. But on the underside of that coin are occasionally dark and brutal moments. Levels and challenges so obscene they make you want to throw your controller out the window and duke it out with Miyamoto himself. Today we're going to explore that latter half, celebrating some of the most rage-inducing moments the core Mario platforming series has to offer. Two quick things before we start. I decided not to include ROM hacks in this video. I'd love to talk about Mario ROM hacks in another sitting, but it just didn't make sense to include them in a list about difficulty, especially since the sky is the limit in the hands of capable fans. So no Kaizo, at least not for today. Also, I tried to play through levels both with and without items if I had the option. Most stages are more challenging without them, so I decided to take both modes of play into consideration. Let's jump to the list. 10 stages over the years that shredded my 1-up counter.
Number 10.
The Pachinko level, Super Mario Sunshine. No core Mario game seems to divide fans more than this one. Personally, I loved Sunshine, and I liked that it took a lot of risks that paid off. Unfortunately though, with those risks came some absurdly frustrating and broken physics tasks, like navigating Corona Mountain in the most tedious boat ride of all time, or watermelons. But for me, Pachinko takes the cake, provided Peach can actually bake it before she gets kidnapped. This level seems innocent enough. You jump on the platform to launch, then theoretically use your jetpack to maneuver into slots for red coins. The problem is the everything. Getting a straight jump can be difficult, forcing you to do this awkward shuffle. The mid-air physics are super wonky, making it much harder to control Mario in mid-air than it would sound. He comes rocketing out toward the center of the stage, and getting him anywhere else takes either a lucky ground pound or a favorable bounce off the pegs. And if you miss one pocket, you fall to your doom and start all over again. The camera is terrible, forcing you to learn where all the coin pockets are without really being able to look down at them. And even when you do successfully hit a pocket, you have to wait for Mario to slide all the way down before giving it another go. It's unnerving. And finally, it's just one of the glitchiest levels in the entire game. I wish I could say stuff like this isn't common, but I swear every time I play this game I get a collision error of this nature. Is it the hardest stage ever? Definitely not, but it's the stuff of nightmares, earning the bottom spot on my list.
Number 9.
World 8 Airships, Super Mario Bros. 3. Ah, the auto-scroller. Oftentimes the most hated of Mario levels, since they remove your previous freedom to determine the pace that you travel. And perhaps one of the worst of these came in the final world of the NES's Super Mario 3. There's two flavors of airship that are particularly soul-crushing. The first is slower and contains huge ships full of projectiles. Moving from ship to ship dodging bullets is nerve-wracking enough, but of course you have to deal with Boom Boom at the end of your turmoil as well. The second type, which I have even more trouble with, are the faster jet-fueled kind. There's less projectiles, but the jumps are way less forgiving. And god, I hate these wrenches. You can't even jump off of them. Every time I bumped into one of these ships as a kid, I knew it was going to be a long night. Picking them back up again as an adult, they're still really tough.
Number 8.
Tubular, Super Mario World. The Super Nintendo's Super Mario World popularized a growing trend that you see a lot in today's picks, adding ridiculously hard levels to the end of a game for completionists to uncover. Travel beyond the already hidden Star Road and you'll reach a treasure trove of painful tasks, all named after 80s slang words? On paper, I'd say that Outrageous is a tougher level with its barrage of enemies and tricky jumps, but Tubular has always been the bane of my existence. The stage is rare for Mario in that it barely involves any jumping. Instead, your goal is to use a limited supply of P-balloons to reach the end of the stage, all while dodging sports, fanboys, and fire. If anything hits you, or your balloon runs out of power, you'll plummet to your death. There's a very small window switching from one balloon to the next, giving you very little time to memorize each new pattern before realizing that you're not going to make it to the next balloon. Oh, this is really not Tubular. Actually, let me look that up real quick. Yes, not Tubular.
Number 7.
9-7, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Speaking of Secret Star worlds, here's one that came about 20 years after the last one. 9-7 is notorious for being one of the most challenging, if not the most challenging course of all time when trying to collect all 3 star coins in a single run. The level is built around a single mechanic, melting ice. Practically the entire stage is made up of ice blocks, some holding munchers, other leading to a bottomless pit. The fun part is that almost all of your enemies, and there are a lot of them, throw or spit fire, melting your path as you run it. The star coins are the real challenge. Most are encased in ice, and the most reasonable way to get them before your level melts is using a fire flower of your own to melt your way in. The problem is that launching a single fireball makes it bounce, melting more than one block in a single process of pressing the run button. The final segment of fire bros and wall jumping is particularly cruel, forcing dozens of restarts out of me and my friends. I respect 9-7 for trying such a unique concept out, but man, it does not respect me back.
Number 6.
C-3, The Lost Levels. Remember that time when an entire Mario game didn't come out in the United States because Nintendo thought it was too hard? It wasn't just any Mario game either, it was the original sequel. Nintendo got one look at Japan's Super Mario Bros. 2 and decided that the US would come to hate Mario as a character if they got a hold of such an unfair and challenging game. We'd later get these stages under the US title of The Lost Levels, which is one of the most consistently challenging Mario games of all time. The game unloads all kinds of new tricks, like poison mushrooms and random gusts of wind to ruin your jumps. The All-Stars version also lets you replay individual levels one at a time instead of the full world, and trust me, you'll like that feature. You'll especially need it for C-3, a monstrosity of a stage that features multiple springboards and huge pits between them. Your goal is to jump from spring to spring, all while avoiding Lakitu and completing other platforming challenges in between them. On top of that, you get the random gusts of wind throughout the entire stage. The spring jumps rocket you off the stage, and while the game's camera scrolls with you to an extent, there's no real way of knowing exactly where you're going to land, making this course a tedious series of blind leaps of faith. Okay, I think I've got the landing. I've done this a couple times, I'm pretty sure. Oh, he got me again.
Number 5.
Special 8 Crown, Super Mario 3D Land. Around this era, Nintendo began adding one huge challenge to complete the end of a game as a reward for insane completion percentages. But your efforts do not go unrewarded. The final crown stage is a cruel one, requiring some tricky jumps, a double boss fight, an onslaught of fire bars, and an electric maze. Then you have to carefully navigate the thank you letters as they appear on the screen. I actually almost died here. Oh, I guess that you can actually just ride this platform down here and not be an idiot like me. Might be. You have to complete the full course in one go, and you won't be getting any power-ups during the stage. This is an example of a level that ramps up considerably if you don't use power-ups, especially the Tanuki suit. Even with it though, it's still one of the most demanding Mario courses we've ever seen. I say one of, because even at the time of that game's release, I felt it was overshadowed by
Number 4.
The Perfect Run, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Ah yes, Star 242. After clawing and scraping your way through the entire game, you're greeted with Grandmaster Galaxy, an enormous obstacle course that includes various challenges you've seen across the galaxies. Right after that though is the mission once more with the added thrill. You can only take one hit through the entire thing. The Space Waifu is back at it again, but this time she demands perfection. It's a blend of both 2D and 3D obstacles, ranging from Yoshi jumps to flip switches to gravity pulls. Each individual part isn't extremely challenging, but pulling it all off consecutively without a single mistake is asking a lot. The end of the stage pelts you with a massive horde of hammer and boomerang bros. You have to defeat the boomerang bros to pass, and nothing quite breaks your soul like getting smacked by a bro, only to go all the way back. You can't make a single mistake. You have to be perfect.
Number 3.
Champions Road, Super Mario 3D World. Up to this game's release, I never thought there would be a challenge that asked more from me than the perfect run. How can you out-challenge perfection? Right off the bat too, you'll notice that this stage allows you to use full power-ups, multiple hits, and even special characters. How can this be harder? I'm not quite sure how to put it, but it just is. This stage is much longer and is all around the most diabolical of the 3 gauntlet-style levels. Even with multiple hits, you still need to survive each and every death trap. Platforming, running, lightning-fast dream-crushing beat blocks, falling platforms with magic Koopas, spike rollers, wall jumps with enemies, plant jumps, swimming with moving spikes, and a heart-pounding collectible segment with boost pads, forcing you to run at maximum speed non-stop while still needing to dodge 5 alternating shockwaves. It pushes you to your breaking point, to your absolute limit. And if you're feeling extra daring, you can even scale the challenge up even higher by using the less vertically gifted Mario and Toad. It is by far the hardest Mario level I've ever beaten in a main series game. Wait, but isn't it just number 3 on this top 10?
Number 2.
The Impossible Pack, New Super Mario Bros. 2. While Champion's Road might be the hardest Mario level I've ever beaten, there remain 2 challenges that I have not yet found the time to master. The first of which is the Impossible Pack, the hardest DLC available on the 3DS game's Coin Rush mode. One thing's for sure, it was the hardest level to find. For one, the pack cost $2.50. You're paying money directly to Nintendo in order to have your spirit broken. Back in my day, it cost $180. No, but seriously, to even access the shop, you have to activate Spot Pass and receive a Spot Pass message to your system. So your first obstacle is Nintendo's 2012 DLC strategy. But then you get the levels. The Impossible Pack kind of cheats on this list because it is technically 3 stages. However, you have to beat all 3 consecutively. You can't just play stage 2 or 3 by itself, and your health carries over from one stage to the next. Also, each one is so tough that I think it deserves a spot on this list even if you take just one of them in individually. How do you want to die? Pick your poison, including fish, birds, fire, actual poison. Each stage tests a handful of skills but expects the impossible. It's like they took a little piece of everything you hate from a Mario game, crammed it all into one unforgiving package, and then laughed at you. You can take a hit or 2 over the journey if you heal from a checkpoint flag, but these checkpoints are a complete and utter lie. You have to beat all 3 stages consecutively. The worst part is just the sheer length of it. The whole challenge is around 4 to 5 full minutes of madness. I can't ever get enough time to practice stage 3 because I die so often in stage 1 or 2, going all the way back to the start of stage 1. I've come close enough to victory where I think I might be able to beat this someday, but the massive amount of time I imagine it would take just to learn doesn't even feel worth it to me. Keep your $250, Nintendo. I'm not coming anywhere near this pack again.
Number 1.
Don't touch anything. New Super Mario Bros. U. Who knew the most grueling challenge I've ever faced in Mario history would come from a mode called Challenge Mode? This underrated mode is filled with various unique and alternate goals that take your skills to the next level. Don't touch anything is by far the hardest. Like all of the coin challenges, this one forces you to finish by taking 6 coins or less. But if you want that gold medal, you have to touch 0. And let me tell you, no stage makes you start pulling the Maroni faster than this. Collecting 0 coins starts simply enough until you realize what that fully entails. You have to dodge multiple Lakitu, navigate lightning-fast platforms, and perform multiple frame-perfect jumps. Just look at the difference between a successful jump here and a failure. This is just one example of what's asked of you to complete this challenge. Eventually, I got the idea of stealing a Lakitu cloud to cheat my way through the level. Oh no, they thought of that too! Unlike most of the other coin challenges, this one requires 0 contact with the enemy at all. If you even harm an enemy, you die immediately. Oh yeah, that's probably why they call it Don't Touch Anything. I don't have anything against tight jumps. The castle challenge right before this one gobbled up a few hundred or so of my lives before I got it down, and it made me sweat. But these jumps? All I can really do is shake my head, shrug my shoulders, and oh my god, they have hidden blocks in here too? Nah, I'm out. Don't touch anything? Don't worry, I'm never touching this pack again. For serious though, challenge mode is amazing, and I really hope to see it again. But this stage is the hardest official Mario level I've ever played, and my body wasn't ready. And with the full public able to do their worst in just a few months, something tells me these challenges are just the tip of the iceberg. Thanks for watching today's Top 10 video. If you want to check out some other Mario videos that I've done, you can check them out right here. Also, if you liked this video, or at least liked hearing about my suffering, consider clicking the thumbs up button or clicking subscribe to follow my channel. I'll see you guys soon with more Nintendo content.